If you defend yourself, you've already lost. That's Machiavelli's first rule. If Niccolo Machiavelli were alive today, he wouldn't be writing books. He'd be running empires silently. He wouldn't tweet, he wouldn't post. He'd be the man behind the scenes, pulling strings so subtly you'd swear it was destiny. In a world addicted to visibility, Machiavelli would dominate through invisibility. Not unlike today's billionaires who avoid the spotlight, yet shape industries in silence. Men judge more by the eye than the hand, so control how they see you and you control what they do. Today, we're not just giving you quotes, we're giving you doctrine, psychological rules for total control, based on exactly what Machiavelli would do if he were among us now. This isn't about being good, it's about being believed as good. It's about leveraging human psychology to achieve your objectives and build an untouchable presence. Are you ready to understand the true rules of power, perception, and unwavering control? Machiavelli understood that power is safest when hidden. His first rule, and perhaps the most crucial for modern dominance, is this: always let them underestimate you. Everyone's in a rush to prove themselves, flash credentials, and assert dominance. But Machiavelli wouldn't walk in loud. He'd walk in last, observe first, and speak only when no one expects him to, saying what no one else dared. In doing so, he'd control the room without being noticed, until it's too late. Let them think you're quiet, harmless, small. When they believe you pose no threat, they expose themselves fully, and that's when you strike from a position they never prepared for. In a hyper-connected, image-obsessed society, truth doesn't spread, perception does. Which leads to our next principle: charm is more dangerous than truth. Machiavelli knew everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. So he wouldn't waste time proving integrity, he'd build illusion. He'd smile in boardrooms while planting seeds of misdirection, charm enemies, feed them false confidence, and disarm them through likability. You don't need to be honest, you need to be persuasive. Let them crown you the hero while you quietly rewrite the ending. Most people fight to be understood. Machiavelli would do the opposite. He'd teach us to create ambiguity on purpose. He'd leave people guessing, one day cold, the next generous, sometimes silent, sometimes intense. Not because he's confused, but because they are. Confusion creates obsession. Obsession creates focus. Focus creates influence, drawing the audience in. Think about the last time someone left you guessing. Didn't it haunt you? They begin to orbit your ambiguity, trying to make sense of what they cannot control. You're not just a person anymore. You're a puzzle, and puzzles become fixations. Stop over-explaining. Stop clarifying. Stop filling every silence. Leave gaps, speak in riddles, and smile when they ask questions you refuse to answer. Because confusion breeds curiosity, and curiosity becomes gravitational. In a world where every move is broadcast, Machiavelli would move in shadows. He'd urge us to control what they see, hide what you do. Everyone's building their personal brand, posting updates, sharing progress. But the second people see how you move, they prepare counter-moves, form alliances, plant traps. So what would Machiavelli do? He'd keep his output public, but his input private. He would appear transparent while hiding his true mechanics. A prince must always be prepared to act against loyalty, charity, humanity, religion to preserve the state. Don't reveal your strategies. Don't explain your systems. Don't tell people what you're building until you've already built it. Think of how tech giants announce products, only after years of secrecy. Machiavelli understood something every manipulator now uses. Perfection is forgettable. Flaws are addictive. Therefore, build a mask, then let it fracture. You become confident, poised, intelligent, calm, but just once, let it crack. Reveal a controlled imperfection, a sharp word, a calculated vulnerability, a sudden burst of insight that reveals you're far deeper than they realized. Why? Because people don't obsess over what they already understand. They obsess over what feels just out of reach. Give them 90% of the story, then go silent. They'll chase the other 10% for years. A wise ruler should cultivate an appearance of virtue while being ready to act contrary to it. Be the light, then flash the darkness. Let them glimpse the abyss. then close the curtain. You'll become unforgettable, not because they loved the mask, but because they saw it slip, and now they need to know what's behind it. When people talk too much, they reveal their weakness, their need for validation, their fear of being misunderstood. So the next rule is, say less than necessary, always. The one who speaks with precision and stops before explaining too much dominates the room. In a negotiation, a disagreement, a moment of tension, he'd say one sentence, two at most, then let the silence speak louder. That silence, that's where the fear begins. They project, they think, what does he know? Why isn't he reacting? What's he planning next? You've said nothing, but they've written a novel in their heads, and you're the villain they can't outmaneuver. In today's world, people are obsessed with knowing where everyone stands. Machiavelli would never let them feel that certainty. He'd advise you to blur the line between threat and ally. He'd sit with enemies at dinner, compliment rivals publicly, defend people he privately planned to remove. Why? When people think you're dangerous, they prepare for war, but when they think you're neutral, they sleep. And the best time to move is when they're asleep. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. You must be both. Compliment your enemy's idea just before you outmaneuver them. Agree with the critic just before replacing them in silence. Appear passive until your absence becomes a weapon. Be warm, be supportive, be disarming until the moment you move, and by then, it's too late to stop you. The easiest way to remove someone isn't by fighting them, it's by making them believe you're no threat. So you must make them feel safe right before you take power. You're on their side, you want them to win. Then, when they finally trust you, you move. Machiavelli would study your patterns, mimic your language, praise your ideas, and disagree softly. He'd never make you feel like you're losing, he'd make you feel like you're guiding him. And once you feel safe, he would act decisively, quickly, cleanly. By the time you feel betrayed, he's already in your seat. Men are so simple, and so much inclined to obey immediate needs, that a deceiver will never lack victims. Tell them what they need to hear, show them what they want to see, and take what they never thought you'd touch, all while smiling. But power isn't just about staying unseen, it's about seeing through everyone else. And that's where Machiavelli's darker genius emerges. To manipulate someone, you must understand them. To protect yourself, you must predict them. To dominate them, you must read them before they realize they've been seen. Machiavelli knew the surface is never the truth. Every smile could be a performance, every handshake a threat, every compliment a test. He built tactics, not guesses. Machiavellian psychological tactics to read anyone instantly. Watch how they treat the invisible. Forget how they treat you. That's easy to fake. Instead, watch how they treat the one they think doesn't matter. The waiter, the intern, the person with no power. Power corrupts weak minds silently, and when someone believes they're safe to reveal their true nature, they'll always show you how they plan to treat you once your value drops. Respect toward the powerless is a more accurate signal of character than kindness toward equals, because there's no incentive to fake it. Silence them. Watch their mask slip. Insecurity thrives in sound. People fill silences not because they enjoy talking, but because they fear being seen without distraction. So silence them. Watch their mask slip. Speak less than them. Say nothing. Pause longer. Make your silence louder than their words. Within moments, they will overshare, try to impress, betray their fears and reveal their motives. Silence isn't absence. It's pressure. And under pressure, people reveal what they never intended to say. You've probably seen it. The longer the pause, the faster they confess. Offer them nothing and see what they do. This is one of Machiavelli's most brutal tactics. Offer them nothing and see what they do. Give them no approval, no affection, no benefit. Just your presence, detached and unreadable. People will always treat you based on what they can extract. When you offer nothing, you see their default programming. Do they grow colder? They were only warm for gain. Do they try harder? They're insecure and crave approval. Do they stay neutral? They have emotional control and might be dangerous. The less you give, the more they reveal. Measure their focus, not their words. People lie, but their focus doesn't. So measure their focus, not their words. While they talk, observe what they pay attention to. Do their eyes dart toward powerful people? They crave status. Do they ignore low-status individuals? They respect only advantage. Do they check their phone while speaking with you? You're a placeholder, not a priority. Do they mimic your expressions? They're trying to gain favor. Machiavelli didn't listen to words. He tracked attention, because attention is investment, and where they place it tells you everything they value and everything they don't. Trigger envy and watch the face flicker. Envy is the most dangerous emotional signal because it always precedes sabotage. To detect it, trigger envy and watch the face flicker. Say something subtle that elevates you, a recent win, an opportunity, a compliment someone else gave you. Then watch their face closely. Is the smile too tight? Do they redirect the conversation instantly? Do they suddenly downplay your achievement? Scroll through social media. Envy fuels more hate than failure ever did. Ask what they hate. Forget what people love. That's easy to fake. Instead, ask what they hate. Ask, what kind of people do you dislike? Or, what kind of behavior do you hate in others? The answer is rarely about others. It's a mirror. The things people say they despise usually reflect their own suppressed traits. Those who claim to hate arrogance are often quietly arrogant. Those who claim to hate dishonesty are often skilled liars. Those who claim to hate weakness are secretly terrified of being seen as weak. In judgment, you find confession. Look at what makes them break eye contact. Direct eye contact is power, but what breaks it is truth. So look at what makes them break eye contact. Mention certain topics: money, status, shame, past failures, or power dynamics, and track their gaze the moment something hits too close. The eyes aren't just the window to the soul, they're the exit door of suppressed emotions. What makes the eyes flee reveals what the mind fears most. Disarm them with respect before you strike with observation. The average person expects judgment, so they come armed with excuses. Machiavelli's genius was to begin with unexpected respect. So disarm them with respect before you strike with observation. Compliment their intelligence, acknowledge an achievement, validate something they said. When you give someone psychological safety, they lower their guard. Then you ask the real question, the one they're not ready for, the one that bypasses their armor. Respect creates the opening, but it's the surgical question afterward that rips the mask clean off. Simple, but devastating. Mirror their desire, then redirect it. Once you've read what someone wants, status, attention, security, you don't confront it, you reflect it back to them. This is how you influence. Mirror their desire, then redirect it. The ambitious, compliment their drive. The insecure, validate their effort. The dominant, acknowledge their control. This lowers their guard, they feel seen, understood. Once disarmed, you redirect. Link their desire to your objective. You don't fight their desire, you hijack it. Once they follow your path, they think it was their idea. Let them define themselves and use their definition. One of the most potent manipulations is never to define someone. Instead, let them define themselves and use their definition. They might say, I'm the type who values loyalty above all, or I hate when people waste time. Now you have their self-identity, which means you know what they're trying to protect and how to frame requests or ideas so they align with their own script. You're not persuading, you're reaffirming their identity while steering it in your favor, and they won't resist because they believe they're being true to themselves. And yet, even when you master others' minds, there's one more battlefield: how you respond when they dare to challenge you. Disrespect begins as a whisper, a joke, a tone shift. Most people ignore it, brush it off, until it happens again, louder, sharper, more public. Disrespect ignored is disrespect approved. Machiavelli understood that respect isn't something you earn, it's something you enforce. Your next move determines everything. So when someone disrespects you, go silent, but not passive. The person who withdraws strategically becomes unpredictable, and unpredictability creates fear. Silence doesn't mean ignoring it. It means withdrawing energy. You make them feel your absence in your gaze, your tone, your refusal to keep the energy flowing. Disrespect only thrives when it gets feedback. When it's met with cold stillness, it reveals itself as a cheap, desperate grab at dominance. Machiavelli never struck first. He watched, allowed enemies to reveal themselves fully. When he did respond, it was with precision. Your next move is to mirror back the violation, not through insult, but through question. They expect an emotional reaction. They don't expect exposure. Deliver this with absolute, unblinking calm. Hold eye contact. Tilt your head slightly, and say with surgical calm, "Did you mean to say it that way?" Or, "You sure you want to repeat that?" You're not denying the attack. You're inviting them to make it again on record. Most won't, because most disrespectful people are opportunistic. When you meet their move with silent tension and cold clarity, they begin to doubt their position. A quiet, almost satisfied exhale. That doubt is what you want. Not revenge, not drama. Doubt. The unshakable presence. If the disrespect happened in front of others, let your new posture echo louder than any comeback. You must reinforce the frame through disproportionate consequence. Machiavelli's philosophy wasn't built on fairness. It was built on effectiveness. If the punishment is equal to the offense, it's forgettable. But if it's greater, it becomes unforgettable. You're not reacting emotionally. You're sending a message. You don't get to play with me twice. You go colder, not louder. You return the message publicly, but strategically, through surgical rejection. This isn't aggression, it's removal. You're demonstrating something more chilling. They've lost access. That's what hurts people the most. Not being insulted, but being ignored by someone who used to acknowledge them. Now, to the most critical aspect of handling accusation, never defend yourself. In that split-second decision, when someone calls you out, questions your worth, your character, your intent, the average person defends themselves. A pause, as if in disbelief. But to Machiavelli, that's the moment you lose everything. The second you defend yourself, you admit you're weak enough to need to. In power games, perception is everything. If they see you flinch, they don't see a victim, they see blood. The man who defends himself lowers himself. The man who doesn't forces the world to defend him instead. The strong let the silence burn. They let the accusation float untouched. Because the real move is to turn the accusation into a mirror. Make them doubt themselves. Make them look too emotional, obsessed, bitter, unstable. Whoever controls the frame controls the outcome. Power doesn't come from being understood. It comes from being feared, respected, and untouchable. When you don't react, they get uncomfortable. They start doubting their own words, look around for validation, and find none. Suddenly, their power shrinks while yours expands. So when someone throws shade, subtle or direct, let their accusation die in the echo of its own weakness. Say nothing. No defense, no retaliation, no smirk. Just calm, total stillness. Everyone in the room is forced to ask, why didn't he react? Does he know something we don't? Is he above this? You've just flipped the entire social frame. Silence, when delivered with presence, speaks louder than any justification. Sometimes you don't just ignore the accusation, you invert it. Make their accusation look like a sign of weakness. Someone calls you manipulative? Smile, look past them and say, if that's how you see it. Not defensive, not apologetic, just cool, neutral detachment. They scramble because they were hoping for a fight. Instead, they're left holding their own weapon, a touch of cynical humor. Or, if they say you're arrogant, respond, strange that confidence makes people so uncomfortable. You're not denying. You're making it their insecurity, and now they're the ones scrambling to defend themselves. This is power judo. And here's the ultimate leverage. Let others defend you. If you remain calm, if you stand silent, unfazed, people start to feel the urge to defend you. They say that was uncalled for, or he didn't even respond and you're still pushing. Suddenly, they become your shield. What's better than defending yourself, letting others do it for you without asking? The final Machiavellian truth: mercy can be more terrifying than punishment. Mercy, when delivered without warmth, carries with it a chilling message. You are no longer a threat to me. After you've enforced a boundary, withdrawn your presence, and held frame in complete stillness, they may apologize. You don't lash out, you don't smile, you don't comfort. You simply remain unchanged. You let them walk around in the new reality you've created, where they are no longer a variable in your world, but a ghost drifting through it. This isn't pettiness, it's power by absence. When they realized their disrespect failed to wound you, it elevated you. It made you sharper, more respected, more distant, and ultimately more untouchable. Machiavelli didn't teach morality. He taught dominance. He didn't teach fairness. He taught survival. He knew that respect doesn't come from being liked, but from being untouchable. And in today's world of constant noise, endless chatter, and desperate validation, the untouchable one, the one who moves in silence, who never defends, who bends reality through perception, that is the true Machiavellian prince. Now, here's the question you have to ask yourself. In your world, in your relationships, in your business, are you playing by their rules, or are you ready to rewrite them? Invisibility is the new supremacy. Machiavelli knew it, and now you do too. The question is, will you stay visible or become untouchable?